Hi, so for my research, I decided to study the effects that maternal enmeshment has on the development of young boys ages 5 through 10. So my research question is, what are the effects, both in terms of emotional development and behavioral development, that maternal enmeshment has on a child throughout his elementary and middle school years? And a quick overview of my references. I'll just read them by last name, kind of how they're cited. So Bachman, Coley, and Carano wrote an article in 2011 called Maternal Relationship Instability Influences. Coe, Davies, and Sturge-Apple wrote an article in 2018 called Family Cohesion and Enmeshment Moderate Associations Between Maternal Relationship Instability and Children's Externalizing Problems. Davies, Thompson, Sturge-Apple, and Martin wrote an article in 2019 titled Child Response Processes as Mediators of the Association Between Caregiver Intimate Relationship Instability and Children's Externalizing Symptoms, and our textbook. And I also used an article called Adaptive Behavior Diagnostic Scale written by Pearson and Patton and published in 2016. And these were all essential in kind of helping me to understand maternal enmeshment from a family systems perspective, and also to help me identify where more research is needed. So there's a lot to be done in terms of identifying these effects of enmeshment on young boys as they grow up into adolescence and as they become adults. We kind of know what causes enmeshment from the maternal perspective. There's a lot of research done on that, but not a whole lot has really been done from the perspective of the young boys in particular. So the null hypothesis and hypothesis. So basically my hypothesis says if a young male between the ages of 5 and 10 experiences maternal enmeshment, he will have behavioral problems. And these problems could be anything from acting out unusually in class, having difficulty making decisions, and also, okay, I'm sorry. So the null hypothesis is essentially the opposite of that. So if a young boy between the ages of 5 and 10 experiences enmeshment, then he will not have emotional and behavioral difficulties. So the study design that I used was the non-random sampling method. And the reason I did not use the random sampling method was because of the specificity of the research and the age group, as well as the criteria that I needed for the participants. True random sampling would not be possible because the samples would not be able to be obtained in a way that essentially is random. Because of the specificity, you cannot just randomly go and pick people out because of the way the problem is set up, basically. So the samples will be obtained through the good enough principle, which basically states that the ones that we do obtain are close enough to random as possible. So the participants will be young males, ages 5 through 10, in a selected elementary school in Virginia. They must have had some experience related to maternal enmeshment, and we will be able to determine this through school counselors, therapists, and teachers. And the way that they would be recruited is through school advertisements or conversations with therapists or the counselors. The instrument that I used for this was the Adaptive Behavioral Diagnostic Scale, also known as the ABDS, and this is used to estimate behavioral functioning in the children. It has reliability and validity established throughout the retest method. So I also felt like it was a good method to use because that criteria has been established. And the proposed statistical analysis for this, so it is interval data that will be collected over 1 year per age group, and they will be collected at 6-month intervals. So the data will include survey answers from counselors, therapists, and teachers, and the test that will be used will be the paired t-test. This was picked because the participants will be surveyed more than once, and I expect to have a 95% confidence interval and a p-value of greater than 0.05%. And my guess is that this will prove to be significant and that the hypothesis will be true. Thank you so much.